Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Social Media Manager Confidential. If this is your first episode, hey, happy to have you here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're a punchy and you're coming back every single week, I want you to know that I appreciate you and I hope you're having an amazing week. So I got to chat with Alyece Smith. She's a mompreneur of 3 and the owner of Socially Awesome. She's a certified social media marketing and branding strategist with over 5 years of experience in digital marketing in corporate America. She's passionate about empowering female entrepreneurs to implement simple social strategies into their businesses to humanize their brands. She's also currently active in network marketing and affiliate marketing. And as social media management and consulting agency owner, Alyece helps others elevate their online presence by making it simple, social, and awesome. She graduated from Southern Mississippi University and is a certified customer service experience officer. So we got to chat about what it's like to do all of the things she does, as well as how she left her 9-to-5, her corporate job, a year ago. And here we go. Social media management is notorious for being high pressure, competitive, and changing literally every day, which is why it isn't surprising that most social media managers get burned out within the first 2 years. So how do you keep going? How do you stay up with the latest updates, protect your mental health, and build a successful social media management business that supports your lifestyle goals? Whether that's working from home with your kiddos or jet setting around the world, that's what this show is all about. Welcome to Social Media Manager Confidential. I'm Shantae Gorman, founder of a 6-figure social media management agency and mentor to social media managers. And I'm here to dish on the ins and outs of the social media management world without any of the gatekeeping that can come along with it. You'll learn, you'll laugh, and you'll leave each episode inspired. Let's dive into today's episode. Hi, everyone. I am here with Alyece Smith, and I am so excited to chat with you today. Thank you for coming on. Excited you're here.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So I would really love to hear what your current business setup is like.
Okay. So I currently have several different businesses that I manage. So actually multiple franchises. So one franchisee might own several locations of a business type. I also have a few solopreneurs that very agency style. So they meet with me, we strategize, we plan out their content for the month, and then I have a team that helps me execute the content creation, the copywriting, and then I have another team that helps me with the implementation of scheduling and the daily checking on making sure scheduling tools are working. I have the agency style, and then through that process, I've also really learned that I love to do consulting about social media. So I have some consulting options where I've met with some local colleges. I've met with a few entrepreneurs that maybe have a team, but their team's, stagnant right now. They need ideas, they need creativity. And then I recently started Social Success Academy, which is my first group coaching program. Again, just all touching on how to use social media in your business. So I have the management piece, and then I also have the consulting and coaching side.
I love that. And did you start with the social media management? That was the beginning of your business?
I did. And that's kind of that's where I started. And then I realized, one, we know there's a lot of moving pieces when it comes to that. There's the content creation, the implementation, the daily checking, and so I quickly, in order to scale, learned that I couldn't do it alone without charging more. And I had several clients that were in contract. So I was like, I got to figure this out. But I started also having a lot of people gravitate towards me because of my own social media presence, asking me questions about how to do social media management, how to get into it, or maybe they just wanted to learn more about growing their audience. And so that's where the coaching and stuff came from, was actually my audience asking for it. So I definitely start with the management piece.
Yes. That my business followed the same exact direction as yours. I didn't even consider going into coaching or mentorship until people started asking me, and I was getting it so often that I was like, I should really make something for these people so I can serve them better.
I love it because I don't want to say it's not time consuming. Coaching and consulting can absolutely be time consuming.
Yeah.
But you're able to make that. So like when I said, you know what, I would love to fill this piece of my business. And I have an open slot between this time and this time on Tuesdays. And I think that's perfect. So I was able to develop a group coaching program. I could be more flexible about it because it was my program, not necessarily a client's needs. And like you said, I had an audience for it already. So I love that.
Yeah. I think that's the way to go about it.
Yeah.
Getting experience doing your social media management stuff. But then I think the important piece is hiring help so that you have the time to actually create more of these streams of income with like your coaching or like programs or anything like that. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Are your clients local or are they kind of spread out?
I only have one local client. So they're very spread out. Most of them are actually in the Midwest region, which is odd because I'm nowhere near the Midwest region of the US. I'm all the way down in the South, but they've been referral based too. So I think when you are good at it and you provide a good service, you get those referrals. So most of them have been referrals from my first 2 clients, my first 3 clients, and gone from there.
That's amazing. I love that. How did you get started in social media management?
I was in social media management in corporate for a while. I worked for a very large franchise of the quick service industry, and I did that for them. So I know a lot of times when we think about social media, we think about Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, but you also have to look at Google My Business, you have to look at Yelp, you have to look at all the things that restaurants and review platforms. So my entire job in corporate was to manage the online platform and digital assets of this company. So every time a store relocated or maybe the hours changed during COVID, we had all types of changes. Like all of that has to be managed by someone. That, and then also the reputation of the company, because our job as a franchisee was not to market the food, it was to market the jobs. Corporate's job was to market the food, sell the food. Our job was to provide that humanization of the brand for people to want to come work for us. So I did that in corporate, and I came into a point in my life where, my family needed me more. I have a child on the autism spectrum, which you'll notice the spelling in my branding, AUSOME. That's a word play on being an autism family. And I needed to be more present for my kids. And I was finding myself struggling, turning down therapy options for my son that's on the autism spectrum because they would be at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock. And I'd have meetings or I'd have this or that. And my job was very flexible. They worked with me for a while, but they're business and they have to put their business first. So I decided to start looking to see if I could just replace that income. So I started on Upwork and Fiverr, just like a lot of people looking. I did not realize how hard it is to actually get a gig on Upwork or Fiverr. But I applied like for a month or 2 before I left corporate. I was applying for Upwork jobs because I was like, if I could just get 3 jobs at $20 an hour, like it would be great. And I did that for a while, and it all just came to a head where I was like, I've got to make a decision. And I quit corporate and I walked away from it. I said, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do. I did not have a plan. I did not have a client. And I was like, but I'm going to figure it out. And I left because I had seen what was possible, right? It was all over my TikTok For You page, my Instagram feed, Upwork, people, social media managers were everywhere. And I was like, I do this every day. So I said, you know what? I don't know what to do, but I'm going to do it. And originally I came home and my plan, I was going to go like door to door local businesses because I do live in a very small area. I'm fairly well known in the community for like being involved with nonprofits and things. I've always been a community driven person. As I'm going to go door to door to these businesses and say, hey, look, these are all the things that are wrong with your social media and let me fix them. Like that was my original plan. And I didn't even have to do that, guys, because it was almost like, I almost manifested it because I took that leap of faith and said, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know what I'm doing right now isn't working and it's not benefiting my children. And I'll be darned if like the week after I left, I had a local business that reached out to me and was like, I don't know if you know anyone, but we need help with reels. And I'm like, I know someone. And, I kind of just came from there.
Yeah.
But that's how I started it. And like I said, I considered myself like a freelancer. And then in about July, because I was also listening to podcasts of different, network marketing and influencers and like all the different options on social media. And in July, I cashed out my retirement and I went all in on a coaching program because I said, you know what, I could spend 5 years trying to figure this out on my own, or I could get a coach and make this work. And that's when she looked at me and she's like, you have an entire business. You got to quit looking at yourself like a freelancer. You have a whole business, a whole plan here. And it has just blown up from there. And it's been a year in June. So right at 1 year.
Amazing. Congratulations. That's exciting.
It is exciting. And it's not at all what I thought it would be a year ago. I definitely thought I would, like I said, be like a freelancer going contract to contract. I was going to be okay with that because I had asked for I'd asked for a raise in corporate and I was denied, and like different things had happened, and that's okay. I know a lot of businesses had to come back from COVID, but the businesses that succeeded during COVID were the online businesses. And I wish I would have jumped 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I can't imagine where I would be today if I would have taken that leap of faith even earlier.
Right. And I think that that's like a huge element to being successful as a social media manager that like works on your own, is taking that leap of believing you're going to make this happen, even when you don't have like a client lined up, or you're like, I need to learn some extra things, but just believing in yourself and taking that first step of being like, this is a business. I am a business owner. I'm not doing this as a side hustle. This isn't just like a little thing to make a little bit of extra money. Like, this is a real thing. And I think that belief really changes the way that we go about even getting clients or like moving forward in the business to actually make money.
Exactly. And in the beginning, like most of you listening probably, I'm like, I was throwing out a couple $100 a month for this or that. And I very quickly realized, like, man, by the time when I started to scale and needed help and to outsource like some copywriting and things like that, I'm like, man, I'm not really making any money on this here. But I thought that was all I was worth.
Yeah.
So I think when I started to treat it like a business, and I'm like, no, this is my rate. Because I'm telling you, I sent out probably 20 proposals over the last year, and people were like, you're way too high. And I've had to be like, I'm so sorry. I can try to help you find someone else that's less expensive if you'd like, but like not to bring my price down, because I have to stand ground that this is a business. I know my skill. I know my value. And I think that's where a lot of us, when we start out like, this is just a side hustle. I'll make a little extra. When you start treating it like a business, you'll start to finally see those benefits.
Yes, exactly. Hi there, this is Ad Shantae popping in to let you know about the Sugar Punch template shop. Inside the shop are done-for-you templates that I created specifically for social media managers and digital marketers so that you can seamlessly plug and play and have a professional business without losing any more sleep. We all know we need more of that. From a pricing calculator to an onboarding welcome packet to an all-in-one social media calendar, as in you can create, revise, and have clients approve it all through Canva. Love how simple it is. Plus a case study template with 100 proven copy ideas to impress your clients, and a social media marketing proposal template. I've got you covered. Shop the affordable templates or get the discounted bundle, you do you, at my website. I'll link it in the show notes for you. Now back to today's episode. So what are your favorite and least favorite things about social media management?
Oh, I got a list.
Let's hear them.
My favorite things, I did a lot of graphic design in corporate. I absolutely love, because I do some branding and things like that too, especially when I got a client that has no brand, no colors. They don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, let's be a little cohesive. And I train a lot on the, authenticity behind a brand and humanizing your brand online. So, colors and fonts aren't everything, but there needs to be some cohesiveness.
Yeah.
I love that. I love anytime I get the opportunity to do a graphic, whether it be a really cool story for the client or my team knows, because I have a team of 4 people now that work with me, and they know, like, I've got my certain clients that I do their graphics. Like, and my business coach gets on to me for that, because she's like, Alyece, you got to let something go. Like when I'm going to her and I'm like, I'm working 14 hours a day. She's like, are you still doing it? graphics. Like, let someone else do it. I'm like, that's my favorite part. Like, that's what I love to do. So I love all of the graphics and the creative piece of it. Copywriting is not my jam. It's not. I can do it, but I'm always going to have a typo. And there's always going to be like, I'm not that detail oriented on words, we'll say. So that's my favorite, would be the graphic design part of it. My least favorite it would be the copywriting, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to social media management. So I guess that would be, I know we had said we'll talk a little bit later about like maybe what I wish I would have learned. So I'll elaborate on that a little bit. But yeah, it would be the copywriting, just because it's not my jam. Grammarly helps me a little bit on that, but
yes.
I'm a visual person. So I like that. I like video editing too. So that would kind of go with the graphics. Anything visual. I like the visual piece of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really common with a lot of people, because it's kind of like if you're right-brained or left-brained, like you either like the copywriting and like the data and the analytics, or you really like the creative piece of it, of like actually editing video and graphic design and like stuff like that. So it's always interesting to see like where everyone falls within that.
I have someone on my team that helps me with the engagement, because we have 2 clients that we still do engagement for them. And she loves it because she's like, I get to be someone else. And I was like, I do not like that part, because I'm like, this is not in alignment with me. From a customer, it depends on what type of client too, because with each client, you're going to have different services. So like with my clients that have like Domino's Pizza franchises, most of the engagement is going to be customer concerns or thanking customers. Like, I'm good at that. I got customer service through the hills. But when you're going in and you're like, yeah, girl, you're so cute, and like all the commenting, I'm like, oh, I can't do it. She loves it. So I'm like, that'll be your job forever, girl, because it ain't me.
Good for her. Yeah. Engagement was the very first thing that I hired a team member on to do, because it takes up so much time. And I don't really enjoy doing it.
Same. I'm out.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you also have someone who helps you with copywriting, since you don't like that.
I have one team member that does the majority of copywriting for all of my agency clients. I also I personally have a subscription each month that I put out with social media caption templates. So that's where a lot of like solopreneurs really tend to get stuck in the very beginning, is they're like, I don't know what to write. And there's so much AI and stuff out there these days that can help you guys. But like a lot of them just won't do it, because when you think about something and you're putting it off so long, even though it could be super simple, we all know we put it off. So he does all of my captions for my subscription. He does any copying for my emails that I'll send out every time I have a YouTube video thing. So yes, I have outsourced all of that. I got one girl that does all the engagement and graphics for, 2 clients. I have another one that does the other 2 clients. And then we also do some, because it's something I did in corporate and it was so easy for me to make a part of my business and duplicate, we do review management as well. We have these franchisees who get hundreds of Google reviews a week, and they need to be not only responded to, like, hey, we're so sorry you had that experience, but someone's got to make it right for that customer or they're going to lose a customer. So my team will actually do the response on Google, and then, or we use a third-party tool. And then we ask that customer, like, hey, we're so sorry you had that experience. Please email us so we can make it right. And then my team will manage that email. And we can't log into their system because of security purposes, but my team does everything to get it down to, this customer belongs to this store and that store is this supervisor. And so my team gets it directly to the person that needs to take care of it. So that review management is something that we offer as well, that it's hard to find because no one really wants to handle customer concerns. I mean, come on, that's like negativity all day long.
Yeah.
But it's very easy for me to make duplicatable and have my team help me with, because I have, email templates, reply templates. Like, I've made it super simple. And a lot of these franchisees love it because it's something that their team doesn't get to because they don't want to do it.
Yeah. It's a very useful service. I didn't even think about that.
Google My Business, Facebook, all of those have review options, and someone has to respond to those.
Yeah. Would you recommend, so if there's other social media managers out there who want to work with like restaurants and franchises like that, would you recommend that they look into adding that to like their packages for their clients?
100%, because, and I'll tell you how to go if you've got a business in mind or a restaurant in mind that you want to work with. The best thing you can do, go to their Google page, go to their Yelp page, go to their Facebook page, and gather, if you do any kind of like proposal or whatnot to them, take screenshots of all of these negative reviews that they've not responded to, because that hurts their ranking. So when someone searches pizza near me, the one that, of course, it has a lot to do with like location based, but it also has a lot to do with how many stars you have. So a lot of times when you take care of those customers and you make it right for them, whether it be a refund, offering them a free pizza next time, whatever, they will go back and edit their review. So they'll take their 2-star review and make it a 5-star because they got the service that they wanted in the long run. So ultimately, that's a way to show these clients in your proposal that, hey, if we focused on your online reputation, you could potentially have a higher ranking, and also be driving more customers in. And Yelp tends to be a platform a lot of people forget about. And when I took over that in corporate, we had 180 locations for the franchisee I worked for. So I had 180 Yelp pages that I had to like completely rebrand. They had old logos, like everything. There were thousands of reviews on there that we had just never responded to because you just didn't even know it was out there, right? You didn't even know.
Yeah.
You had kind of forgotten about it. So go and pull those pages, screenshot, put it in your proposal. Look at all these customers that need assistance. And it's super simple, guys, to add that. And ultimately restaurants, that's a huge piece of their business, right?
Yeah.
Their reviews and their ratings, and you try the new place in town because your mom said it was good, right? I mean, that's just how it works. So
yeah, I love that. That is so smart. I think people are definitely going to use it. If you do that and you get a client, let Alyece know.
Yeah.
That you heard it here.
I mean, I'm happy to chat tools and stuff with you too, because I do use a tool as well that is called Linkosaurus, and I'm happy to hook you up with like a free trial and stuff like that. But it is specific to franchise management. So like a lot of these tools, like Hootsuite and all the things, they charge by location. Well, if you got 180 locations, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
So this tool is specific. You pay by the brand, and you can have as many locations as you want. It also is a review management tool. So I'm able to manage all of their reviews from this one platform. So shoot me a message. I'd be happy to help you, set up your proposal and stuff for that too.
Love that. You mentioned this. What do you wish you would have known before you got started?
Okay. I can't stress this enough, guys, but those boundaries and office hours. So and you've all gotten this. I know you've gotten this text at 4:59 that's like, hey, can we get this posted on my page super quick, really quick before we, for the day's over?
Yeah.
Or even the client that's in a whole different time zone and doesn't realize it's already past 5 in your time zone, right? So, and don't get me wrong. There are still times I work on weekends. There are times I work after hours, but I very quickly upfront let them know that that's not guaranteed. And, if you don't get a response from me, cool. I also have and it can be a little frustrating, but I have a automatic reply on my email that says, thank you so much for reaching out to Socially Awesome. Our business hours are, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Central Standard Time. Please allow us up to 24 hours for us to reply, because you're going to get that person that emails you at 4:59 p.m. and then again at 8:01, and they want to know why you haven't gotten back to them yet. Like, your clients need to know, one, they're not your only clients. Even if they are your only client right now, they need to know that your free time is not free time. Okay. They need to know that just because you're not in their account right now does not mean you're available. Okay. So boundaries. And it's hard because when you're first getting started, you're really I hate to use the word desperate, but you're so desperate to get clients and get money coming in because you're scared. A lot of times we have poor money mindset, whatever it might be for you, that we are willing to just do whatever. But when you're starting to scale, that's not going to work anymore. My clients very much know that it's a 24-hour turnaround. And a lot of times my team does it in an hour. But I can't have someone that I send their month's worth of their content to them to approve for the whole month. And I got one client that waits until the morning of the first of the month, and she'll approve 1 week at a time.
Yeah.
She does it every month, and that's not my process. So I have to let them know that's not my process.
Yeah.
If you approve Monday's content at 8 a.m. on Monday, it might not get posted until Tuesday. It might not get done until I got a 24-hour turnaround, might not get done until Tuesday, because I don't do that personally. So I need to have time to tell my team, hey, so-and-so's finally approved her content. Please go post it. And like, it is what it is, guys, but you got to set those boundaries. And when you do start to set those boundaries, people will start to respect them. They will. You're not going to have, you might have some pushback in the beginning, but this is your business and you can set those boundaries right now.
Yes.
So I sent an email out to all of my clients in January of this year, letting them know, like, hey guys, Happy New Year. Because I didn't. In 2022, I didn't have any boundaries. In January 2023, I was like, walls are going up.
Good for you.
And was like, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for being a client of mine for the last several months. I wanted to update you on the new policies and procedures for Socially Awesome. And I bulleted it out. These are our office hours. We are closed all federal holidays. We, whatever. And it's a 24-hour turnaround time because I travel a lot too with my family and with other businesses I'm a part of. And so, I don't want anyone messaging me while I'm on a plane and thinking I'm going to get back to it right now. So put those walls up. Please put those walls up. Just like your job, you would clock out at 5 and run for the car. Do the same thing.
Yes.
Yes, do it. You're not going to regret it.
It's okay. It's okay to tell your client no.
Yeah. And the wall's not going to collapse down. And, the same thing goes with like the content. I would have where all of the content was created and then on the 15th of the month, the client's like, you know what? I've really decided I want to start talking about this the rest of June. And I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be X amount of dollars for another 2 weeks of content.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially when you start where you have a team, I've already paid my team for those 2 weeks of content. I got to pay them for another 2 weeks. No, free time does not equal free time. So please, one, enjoy your free time. And then 2, set those boundaries.
Yes.
Gosh, I could talk about this. This should be a whole podcast episode. I wish I would have done that from day one, but it is what it is. I think we live in.
Yes, exactly. I think it's hard to set boundaries when you first get started because you're new and you're maybe inexperienced of being a business owner and being the one in charge and knowing when it's okay to say no, I'm not doing that, or these are my hours, because we're so worried the client's going to get mad and leave, or something's going to happen. So I think it's a process of learning how to stick up for yourself, how to set boundaries.
Yeah.
And for those who don't, I have found that it takes about 2 years and then they're done. They're so burnt out.
Right.
They're in a bad place mentally. So boundaries, if you want to make it as a social media manager, you have to learn them.
You do. And a lot of times it'll be, and there's things you need to learn too, that there are things that are out of your control and your client cannot blame you for those. They will try, but you have got to really, and if you need help, look guys, I'm going to give you a ninja tip here. If you need help with wording on how to come back professionally and properly, ChatGPT is great, guys. I've gone to ChatGPT and write me an email telling my client XYZ in a professional tone. I'm not kidding. Because I'm I know what I want to say right now, because I've had where I have a client that they had to change their, Instagram password over the weekend. And so it disconnected from the scheduling tool that we use to schedule stories. So no stories were posted, not my client anymore, but no stories were posted on Saturday or Sunday. And on Monday, I got a message that was like, hey, I would like a refund for Saturday and Sunday because no stories were posted and I pay for that. And I'm like, okay, I replied back and said, let me find out what happened because I know my team scheduled it. Unfortunately, we use scheduling tools for your own protection. And not everything. We do have some clients that we log in, but I'm trying to get away from that because Meta is getting even more strict on that and the 2-factor codes and all the things. Long story short, it wasn't even my team. They changed their password and it disconnected. And I had to stand my ground and say, unfortunately, my team did the work. We did the content. We're happy to reconnect the tool here now that we're aware of it. But we don't work Saturday and Sunday, so that was not a problem we could fix then.
Yeah.
And stand in my ground, because I'm like, no, you don't just give refunds out like it's candy because someone thinks that you just have to learn how to stay strong. And that comes with knowing what your worth is and knowing that you're doing the work. That comes with time. You'll get there if you're not already there.
Yeah.
I was like, I went ChatGPT real quick and was like, please word this for me because I know what I want to say, but
I shouldn't say it that way.
ChatGPT has helped me out in several instances of like, how would you say this in a polite, professional manner?
Yeah. Yeah.
So not so aggressive. There's so many tools out there to help you, but just stand your ground when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I find it helpful too. Like, I mean, you'll learn what needs to be in your contract as you come across these processes, but like, no refund policy in there. There's like a deadline policy, an approval policy. I even have my office hours in there and like, 24 to 48 hour response.
Get paid up front.
Yeah.
That was a huge mistake I made in the beginning too. I have a ton of mistakes. I could list out bullet points, guys, but like my first couple clients, I would bill them at the end of the month. And no one has ever like ghosted me, but that left me in a deficit every month because I'd work all of, let's say all of May, and then I've got a couple $1,000s in outstanding invoices, and I would never get caught up. And you can't do that when you start outsourcing or hiring help. You can't do that. I have to pay my team.
Yeah.
Get paid up front.
Yep. I learned that the hard way too, but I did get ghosted.
Did you?
Multiple times from multiple people. So that goes to show.
Yeah. I've never been ghosted yet, but it could happen. And I still have 2 clients that are in contract with me that pay me at the end of the month. And contracts are up into June. It'll start being retainer. Like, hey, this is my new policy. Thank you so much for working with me over the last X amount of months. This is my new policy, and
yeah.
And don't be afraid to implement contracts too. I know a lot of people get nervous with that, but asking for like, hey, it's this price if you retain me for 3 months. It's this price if you want to do it month to month and make it more expensive. Don't be afraid to do that,
Yeah, you're the boss. You get to make these decisions. You can change the policies. You can put whatever you want on the contract. I mean, you are in charge here.
Yes.
Ugh, I love that. Where can everyone find you? Where can they connect with you?
I'm old school. Facebook is still my jam. I'm Alyece Smith on just about every platform. I'm active on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. But of course, the easiest one for messaging would either be Instagram or Facebook. My team manages my Instagram a little bit more. So find me on Facebook. I love it there. I've got, my group and all the things. So I hang out there most.
Okay, perfect. And I will link it all in the show notes so they can find you really easily. But thank you so much for coming on here. This was a really great chat.
Yes, I had a great time. And thank y'all so much for having me.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, she's so sweet. So many good gold nuggets for you. Definitely go check her out and connect with her. She knows her stuff. And if you are a social media manager that has any other social media manager friends that are maybe struggling and would like some support, like some extra trainings and some offers, share the link to this episode with them and help them out. And if you're not already following this podcast, make sure you hit the follow button or the plus button in Apple Podcasts so you can get brand new episodes delivered straight to your podcast app every Friday. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Learn more about my digital template shop, online courses, and mentorship program by going to my website at sugarpunchmarketing.com. And while you're there, make sure you join my safe, supportive community created exclusively for social media managers. It's 100% free to join and packed with really amazing resources, trainings, and people. See you next time.